Alrighty, folks, it is Fed Day. In fact, this is 1 hour and 3 minutes before the Fed announcement, and we were talking with Matt, the mortgage guy. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well. It's seems like we always seem to meet on Fed Day, and so we get to record this and then probably release it after and see right, wrong, indifferent what our predictions entail. I mean, for me as a mortgage broker, the funniest part about this day, especially today, 97% or whatever it is, like the Fed is cutting the Fed funds rate. No matter how many people, how many times remind the masses that is not mortgage rates, you're still going to get people. Like I had people getting a contract over the weekend. Oh, let's not lock yet because we're going to get a rate cut on Wednesday. Well, not exactly. And so Fed funds rate does not equal mortgage rates. I'm here to say that for people. A lot of us who follow things closely enough to give advice, I've been advising clients this week is more likely rates get worse than they get better. And so a lot of the contracts that came in over the weekend, you like it, lock it was still the play. I had all three of those clients say, yeah, I hear you. And I'm not going to gamble for $300 lower in cost or 1/8 of 1% better on rate, knowing that the downside risk could be much worse. And so, yeah, here we are, Wednesday, December 18th, on the heels of what is undoubtedly a 25 basis point Fed rate cut, but there's, all kinds of other stuff to look out for today too.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, we're now recording this 1 hour before the Fed announcement, and it's really funny. People don't realize there's actually a couple of things that happened today. Obviously, there's the rate announcement, which again, I think is pretty clear. They will cut 25. I want to be very clear. I don't think they should. I think it's a mistake to cut 25 today, frankly. Let's actually play that out for a minute. Let's just say for some reason, Matt, the 5% of the folks that say they shouldn't cut, let's say for whatever reason they catch religion and the Fed doesn't cut, but you know what? They promised January or whatever. If the Fed doesn't cut today, what happens to mortgage rates?
Well, if the Fed doesn't cut, I think the initial reaction is mortgage rates get worse because we're expecting a cut.
Exactly. That's the key.
Right. But honestly, like we've said on here before too, what the Fed says, including dot plot, including, Q&A with Jerome Powell, is as important as that. So what I think could happen in that scenario, right? Which very unlikely, but in the unlikely scenario, the Fed, in a last minute meeting says, you know what, let's not do it. Let's wait and see. Let's keep rates where they're at. We'll reconvene and see if we want to do it in January. I think that if enough reasoning was given behind why they did it and, kind of the forecast for what they see going forward didn't change that much, I think that they could pull it off without having too much of a negative impact on rates. Again, this is all hypothetical on a scenario that we think is very unlikely, but
I think the point is where I was trying to get to this was anytime, because people don't realize, the Fed rate's not mortgage rate, which you covered. Awesome. But the other thing is the bond market's priced in the cut already, right? That's the other way to say that. So if they've priced in a cut and a cut doesn't come, rates get worse instantly.
Right.
In my opinion. Now, to your point, there is still a press conference. There is still Jerome Powell in front of a microphone. And to be clear, if they shock the market, the Fed will be out in force tomorrow and the next day, doing speeches and talks and trying to basically talk the bond market down. Right.
Yeah. And just for simple, public school folks like me that are wondering like the why behind it, there's enough data out there today that in advance of any of these things that happen, there is predictions. And so the market movers are things that miss a prediction because well before inflation comes out, well before there's a Fed meeting, well before any of this stuff is decided, here's what we think is going to happen. And that is what influences the market. And if for whatever reason, whoops, we're off by 50,000 jobs. Whoops, they didn't cut. We thought they would. That's what moves mortgage rates. That's what has, an effect on bonds being bought and sold, and ultimately mortgage rates being affected. And so when people understand that, I think it's kind of like, oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Well, the other thing that happens this week, it's actually on Friday, is we get an inflation print. And I think like CPI and like PCE is forecast to go up. So not only are we going to get the rate decisions, press conference, all of that, but I'm going to be very interested to see how they coach inflation going up and they're still cutting. Because just mentally, that's not supposed to the way it goes, right? Inflation up, rate cutting. What? Are you kidding me? What are you telling me? What do you think?
Yeah. And I think that, the way they'll justify it is, directionally, we think inflation is coming down. And even if we get a blip and one or two prints blips higher, we're not as concerned about that anymore. We're looking more at the economic data. I think that's kind of what I've read between the lines on how they will justify it. But it's funny to think about, we talk about uncertainty having an effect on buyer sentiment, having an effect on mortgage rates. As much as we're like the presidential race and all of that is behind us, there's a for sure, winner, and we know who's going to be the president in 2025. Now I feel like there's a new uncertainty. Like, what is that new administration effect going to be on the market and inflation and everything else? And so that seems to be kind of baking its way into some of this data, is people are uncertain how it's going to affect.
Well, one of the things that I am most looking forward to, because again, it is Fed Day, it will be important, but the next 2 weeks is going to be a litany of Fed presidents speaking and talking. And it's going to be really interesting to me kind of on two things. One, are they starting to talk more and more like Michelle Bowman? Michelle Bowman was the lone dissenter a couple decisions ago. She is the lone person originally thinking the neutral rate was at 4, where everybody else was saying 3. I want to know how many more people think she's right? Neutral rate's 4. And why is that important? Less cuts, a lot less cuts, right? Because, this cut, assuming it happens, takes us to 4.5, I think. So that'll be interesting. And then second, they have to start talking about President Trump. What are his policies on tariffs, deregulation, tax cuts? These can be seen as inflationary, and it will make the Fed's job harder. So I think they've got to start talking about it. So I'm going to read. I'm going to look forward to reading up on all of those.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting meeting too. And it's always, his prepared remarks. Yeah, I'll fall asleep listening to Jerome Powell then. But I
the
feel
Q&A?
like the Q&A, there's some excitement, right? That's the real game.
Yeah, I'm going to be leaning in that famous meme. Press release.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Q&A.
I'll tune into the Q&A. But yeah, interesting times in real estate. What was the number today, Mike? Was it permits that was up like 6.1%?
Yeah, permits are up. Unit, breaking ground down, but permits up 3 months in a row, I think, or 3 weeks in a row. Excuse me, months in a row. It's counted monthly, but yeah, it's people in builders, specifically single family home builders, are interested because they see true deregulation coming, which will make it cheaper and faster. At least they are very hopeful based on the survey. Yeah.
And I'm an eternal optimist, so I'd love to see.
Yeah, you are.
Coming to California, that's a big ask, but who knows? Anything's possible here in the future. And on a personal level with personal business, and what I'm seeing is like all of this stuff is great to keep an eye on. Mm-hmm. But don't get distracted by that. The real win, the real work is in the minutia of your specific market. And wow, these places used to trade for 500 to 550. Now I can get something for 460 because nobody's active between now and the end of the year. Like there's going to be more and more opportunity It's funny too, because while a lot of people seem to be on vacation between real estate agents and title companies and, real estate investors, I had tons of investors out last weekend. I mean, I was out walking through open houses. I walked through a couple really busy open houses, priced to sell because they have to sell.
Mhm.
And gosh, I'm really interested to see. I'll report back what the specific home sold for, but in a neighborhood where 450 would be a steal,
Mhm.
this home was listed at 400,
Oh my gosh.
probably to get action and
Oh
sell
yeah.
quick. But even if it sold for 430 or 440, it's a really good deal compared to
Mhm.
the norm, compared to what, things of equal size and shape sold for in the last 12 to 24 months. So, yeah.
I want to call attention to. I always do first names. I know the last name. There's a guy named Brad on X or Twitter, who talked about a deal that he and his family are looking at. I just want you to realize how I answered him. So again, this is Brad's house. So Brad found a house he liked for 2.7 million. Again, you can knock off a zero and call it 270 grand. The numbers don't matter. What's important is how this plays out. During conversations, or I'm sorry, listed for 2.7. His family doesn't want to pay more than 2 million. So 700K off. During conversation with the listing agent let it slip that they would take 2.2, right? Listed 2.7, seller will take 2.2. So Brad goes on, blah, 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 this, that, the other. And he's basically saying, should we buy it at 2.2? Remember, he doesn't want to pay more than 2 million. So what did I say? Let me go back just so I can get my exact quote. I said, it's very simple. Write your offer at 1.85. The seller will then counter at 2.2 because that's coming already. Then you counter at 1.9 and then you wait. Because there's only three things that happen from there. One, they sell it to someone else, probably at 2.2. Two, they remove it from the listing. It's no longer available. They stay put. Or three, you buy it at 1.99. Brad, you told me you're not comfortable above 2 million. Why are you considering 2.2? Yes, I know 2.2 is $500,000 less than list price, but you don't want to pay more than 2. You freaking buyers don't realize you have all the power, right? Disrespectful. Follow up. Let time go by. This is not spring 2021. This is winter 2024. Buyers have the power. Act like it.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is really like in this market, especially as a buyer, maybe you're renting, maybe you already own a primary, whatever your situation is, you don't have to buy. You're in a glorious position. The seller is listed, has raised their hand and said, some would say, I want to sell, but if you're listed in December, that's more of a, I need to sell, right? Like even the people that need to sell, but don't need to sell in a hurry have taken off and said, let's go second week of January and give it a fresh look and a fresh listing it then. And so, yeah, I mean, you've got all the power and you should, in my opinion, whether you're buying your primary or buying an investment property, have that attitude. At this price, I'd like this house, but if not, no big deal, right? Yeah. And you can't get emotional about it. There's some circumstances where it's like, all right, this is the perfect school district. It's got the setup that's going to be perfect for you and your family. And then if you pay $50,000 more than you thought, but the wife is happy and 10 years from now, you're not going to care about it. Okay. That might be a different thing, but especially on investments with a lot of real estate, don't be emotional about it. Just say, this is the price. And to your point, Mike, waiting only favors you as the buyer when the seller goes, man, maybe I should consider that 1.9 offer. Maybe if I counter them at 2,050,000, they'll come back because I wanted to play hardball, but now another 7 days has gone by. Another 10 days.
Exactly.
And every day where, they've probably got carrying costs and they've got, more fear, uncertainty, and doubt creeping in of like, will this thing ever sell?
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, folks, buyers have all the power today. If you're a team buyer, it's time to write disrespectful offers. It is time to just do the work. And again, to be clear, follow-up is where the work happens. I would say more than 80% of the great deals we have done was because of the follow-up, right? I honestly don't want anybody to take my first offer. I don't think they're going to take it, but I'm trying to set a flagpole that I can negotiate to. Matt, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and see what's what about mortgage, what do they do?
Go to greatmortgagebroker.com. We'll get you pre-approved. You'll be all set. Then you can submit that offer, sit back and wait. Having yourself pre-approved, being in a position to write an offer where you say, hey, if you're good with my price, I can close this in 22 days. I'm fully pre-approved. The mortgage broker I'm approved with can call and verify that they've got a full file and they're ready to get going on this. That stuff, positions you as a strong buyer. And these sellers that are uncertain and need to sell, music to their ears is, I'm a willing and able buyer and I can close on this thing quick. Like that's what they want to hear. And so in some cases, you might just catch a seller on the right day where they go, you can close it in 19 days. Okay. Let me talk to my, wife. Let me talk to, my co-investor, and they come back to you and they go, okay, let's put it together. Right.
Yeah.
Or,
I'm done.
They get on the phone with a broker that says, yeah, I've got the Smith file ready to roll. Like this is a smooth and easy one. We'll have this thing closed by January 5th. They just might say, okay, let's do it. Let's cut our losses. Let's put this thing in escrow and let's get rolling.
There you go. Again, folks, greatmortgagebroker.com. Get it started. Reach out. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Mike.